We have a lot of entrepreneurs who are facing setbacks. What advice do you have for them?
For years, I was always asked a similar question of what thread of success do you see amongst all of the entrepreneurs that you've backed? And the one characteristic of success was the resiliency and passion of those founders who wanted to solve a problem that was gnawing at them, and they would go through all lengths of the earth to solve it. And they weren't driven by money or ego or status. I also get, as an investor, when you look at the investment cycle in the technology industry, you better understand the technology cycle first. And then there's a lag effect on the investment cycle, and you really are trying to correlate them. You don't want to be too late, and in many cases, you don't want to be too early. So there's this kind of Goldilocks of investing, which is extremely hard to do because you don't know exactly where you are in the cycle. However, there has been a pattern, whether it was the internet, whether it was mobility, whether it was crypto, and now AI. It goes through a cycle, and it kind of goes through three layers, at least the technology cycle. There is an infrastructure layer first. And let's just use the internet as just the base analogy. The first cycle was you got to build the physical infrastructure. So in the mid to late 1990s, that was, the pipes, fiber optics, etc. Who were the most valuable companies in the world at the time? It was the Nortels, the Alcatels, the Dow Cornings, etc. And the issue with the infrastructure layer is that, you need to build the highways first. Once you build the highways, you got to build the tolls on the access points and how to get onto the highway and run your vehicle across. Call that the access layer or the middleware / operating layer on top. And then the final layer is the application layer. So what are you going to do on this thing now that you're driving, on the road? What's interesting is when you go through those three phases, the infrastructure layer tends to commoditize, and there tends to be dominated by a few very key players because it requires massive amounts of capital, and people don't want to make 82 infrastructure decisions. And then it ends with the application layer. Now, here was the interesting thing, and I still believe in this as well. I was advising telcos very extensively in the late 1990s. And one of the concerns that I raised many, many times, and you could see it, is they ignored the application layer. So the telcos were really the middle. They provided the access, right? So there was a terminology called the internet service providers, or ISPs. The telcos became the ISPs, and they made a ton of money through their subscribers. So all they were doing was giving the access. But I kept on saying, yeah, but access is going to get commoditized too. Where the extraction of the economics ultimately arises is at the application layer. So let's run this 20 years. Who makes all of the money on the internet? Is it Google, Apple, Microsoft? Go on. And they extracted it. And at the very bottom are the telcos. And below that was the Nortel. So where did Nortel go? Bankrupt. Where are the telcos? Struggling like crazy. And that application layer. So I think that's mirroring over and over and over again. I kept my eye on the prize. When you get an injury as devastating as I did, and you're confined to a wheelchair, everybody's world in your family turns upside down. Like, it's the same thing from a work perspective, keeping your eye on the prize of, at the end of the day, I didn't need to build Maverix for my own status or personal wealth. It was, I didn't finish the job that I set out to do in 2011, and entrepreneurs need this. Canada needs this. Ultimately, my children need this if I want them to stay in Canada. So it was that objective that was, my North Star. So when I give advice to entrepreneurs, you will face these obstacles 100% of the time in your business. And for the most part, it's not the end of the world. You can get around these things. It's a state of mind. So I would just share to folks. And, one of the best compliments that I do get from entrepreneurs is they would say to me, you know what, I thought, everything was just horrible and I couldn't get any lower. And then I see what happened to you. And they said, Jesus, my problem doesn't seem so big anymore. I should just shut the hell up, put my head down and try to fix the problem and work around it. And so if I could be an inspiration for that, that's quite satisfying.